In the late 1800s, Blackwood Manor was the grandest estate in the region. It stood atop a hill, surrounded by dense forests that seemed to close in on it as the years passed. The manor had a reputation, one that kept most people away. Locals whispered about the strange occurrences that had plagued the family who lived there, the Blackwoods. The Blackwood family was once respected, but after the untimely death of the matriarch, Eliza Blackwood, things took a dark turn. Eliza was known to be a kind and loving woman, but she was also deeply superstitious. She was obsessed with the occult, and it was rumoured that she had made a pact with dark forces to protect her family. Her death was sudden and unexplained, and soon after, the rest of the family began to experience terrifying phenomena. It started with whispers in the night, just like the ones Maya had heard. The whispers grew into wails, and the once beautiful manor became a place of dread. The children would wake up screaming, claiming to see shadowy figures standing over their bed. The staff reported seeing Eliza's ghost wandering the halls, her eyes empty and her mouth twisted into a terrifying grin. One by one, the Blackwood family members succumbed to madness. The father, Thomas Blackwood, was found hanging in the attic, his face frozen in a look of absolute terror. The youngest daughter, Emily, was discovered drowned in the bathtub, though no water was found in her lungs. Her cause of death remained a mystery. The last to go was the eldest son, James, who vanished without a trace. His disappearance marked the end of the Blackwood bloodline. For years, the manor stood empty, falling into disrepair. But in the early 1900s, it was purchased by a wealthy businessman, Richard Harrington, who dismissed the stories as mere superstition. He moved in with his wife and 2 children, determined to restore the manor to its former glory. At first, things were quiet. The Harringtons enjoyed the grand estate, laughing off the tales of hauntings. But it wasn't long before the same sinister events began to plague them. Richard would wake in the middle of the night, unable to move, with the feeling of icy hands around his throat. His wife, Evelyn, began to hear Eliza's whispers, growing louder each night. Their children, too, became targets of the malevolent forces within the house. One night, Evelyn awoke to find her daughter, Lily, standing at the foot of her bed, staring blankly ahead. When she asked what was wrong, Lily pointed to the corner of the room and said, "They're here." Evelyn looked but saw nothing. Panic set in as Lily's eyes rolled back and she began to convulse violently. Evelyn screamed for Richard, but when he burst into the room, Lily was gone. They searched the house frantically, but found no trace of her. The only clue was a small handprint burned into the wall, as if seared there by an unseen force. As the days passed, Richard became more and more unhinged. He claimed to see James Blackwood in his dreams, beckoning him to the attic where his father had died. Richard resisted at first, but the compulsion grew stronger, driving him to the brink of insanity. Finally, unable to take it any longer, Richard climbed the stairs to the attic. There, in the dusty darkness, he found a circle of burnt candles surrounding a strange, ancient book. The air was thick with the smell of decay. As he reached for the book, a cold wind blew through the attic, slamming the door shut behind him. The whispers filled his ears, growing louder and louder until they were deafening. Richard opened the book, and as he did, the candles flared to life. The pages turned on their own, stopping on a page with a drawing of Eliza Blackwood. Her eyes seemed to follow him, her twisted grin widening as he read the words scrawled beneath her image. "She is bound to this house, and so shall you be." In that moment, Richard understood that the pact Eliza had made had trapped her spirit in the manor, and now it was claiming him. He tried to scream, but the shadows closed in around him, pulling him into the darkness. When Evelyn found Richard in the attic the next morning, he was sitting in the center of the burnt-out candles, staring blankly at the wall. His hair had turned completely white, and he was muttering the same phrase over and over. "She's coming for you." Evelyn fled the manor with her remaining child, leaving Blackwood Manor to rot. The house still stands today, abandoned and decaying, a monument to the horrors that took place within its walls. Locals say that on quiet nights, you can hear the whispers of the Blackwood family, trapped for eternity, waiting for their next victim to join them in the shadows.